music than usual. This year, the festival is taking place in Whitehall Junior Senior High School on November 4th and 5th. This year, we are happy to announce that 15 students that were recommended by our music educators all accepted to participate. How about a round of applause for all of those students? And I believe I spoke to Ms. Taylor earlier, Mrs. Taylor. She informed me that we have 4 guests here to sing the national anthem. All 3? 3? Okay. Thank you very much. So I'm going to probably announce one that isn't here. Which one would that be? The last, the middle, or the beginning? Which one would that be? The last person on this list that we went over, or the middle?
Who's here?
Yeah.
It is Skylar McKinney, Zoe O'Connell, Megan Boyer, and Aubrey Bacon.
Okay. So I heard 3. She said, okay, so why don't we do this? If I announce your name, come on up on the stage and please accept your certificate from our board president, Mr. Rowe. Aubrey Bacon. And you can stay right up here because I hear you're going to sing us a song, so that would be great.
Aubrey, come on back here and sing.
Megan Boyer. Skylar McKinney. All right. And Zoe O'Connell. Okay, for your listening pleasure, right, Mrs. Taylor?
Mm-hmm.
They will be singing the school alma mater.
Mm-hmm. Ready? Ready all 4? I just wanted to make sure that we recognize the other 11 students who will also be joining them on November 4th at Whitehall and 5th, November 4th and 5th at Whitehall. Hopefully some of you can attend and make that to support our Fort Edward students. And they are, excuse me if I, and Mrs. Taylor, jump in and correct my pronunciation at any time. Rebecca Grosbeck, Aiden Mondor, Noah Ewer, Down stop.
Karina Petrie, Abigail Foster, Kaylin Nichols, Gabriella Durkee, Cecilia Ryther,
Cecily
Ryther, Jaden Ferguson, Linnell Colvin, excuse me, Ollie Cutler. That's it. Thank you very much.
parents that brought your children here to celebrate with us tonight, thank you for supporting your children in the performing arts. We are great supporters of the performing arts here at Fort Edward, as you can see, and we're so proud of your children and the efforts you made. Thank you very much. Round of applause for the parents, please. Back to you, sir.
All right, we do have a speaker request form. Before I call the speaker to the floor, a public comment period not to exceed 30 minutes each shall be provided in each business meeting. In an effort to provide an opportunity for all speakers shall be limited to 3 minutes during the public comment period. Committee members who wish to address the board are requested to complete the speaker form and submit it to the clerk of the board prior to the meeting. Comments regarding agenda items will be taken first. Speakers are reminded of the 3-minute time limit. Should the 30-minute time limit expire, additional written comments may be taken prior to the meeting's adjournment. A member of the board or the superintendent will respond to that. The BOE was received and reviewed the comments. When members of the public speak to the board, they shall state their name and address, name of the organization, if any, which they represent, the agenda item they wish to comment on. Please be aware that by law, individual student information or particular personnel issues cannot be discussed at public sessions of the board. The board will not permit interruptions, slanderous remarks, or name calling by speakers of the audience. We take public comment very seriously and careful notes will be taken. However, the board generally does not respond while the meeting is in public session. That being said, Ms. Audra All, please come to the stage.
Can I stand here?
You can do it there, you need a microphone.
I've been working with so I've had some parents that come to the PTO complaining about parent pickup and then having to stand outside when the elements aren't the greatest. So am I not that loud? I'm sorry. So we've had some parents complain to the PTO that when they're standing outside and the elements aren't the greatest, that they're getting rained on, or the snow is coming. They would like some sort of cover or protection, I guess. So they wanted us to do something. We can't do that in the PTO. So I'm bringing it to you, putting it in your hands. So if there's anything that the school could do, so the parents will not complain to me that they might be getting rained on, or snowed on, or it's cold. So if there's anything that you could do to fix this problem, that'd be greatly appreciated. My child is great. I don't have to stand up there anymore. So, whatever you can do is great. I wasn't expecting all the teachers to be here for this, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we with y'all.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. Toby, anybody else?
No, that was it.
Next up is a presentation from NISBA.
First of all, good evening. My name is Barry Hentos. I'm the Director of Member Relations at the New York State School Boards Association. Association represents about 670 school boards across the state. We are a membership organization exclusively devoted to school boards and good governance. And a little bit about my history. I was a school board member in Central New York in a rural district for nearly 15 years, and eventually made my way to the New York State School Boards Association. I get the opportunity to travel across the state, do a lot of professional development with school boards from Long Island to Buffalo, the Southern Tier, in North Country, and I always tell everybody it's the best part of my job. When I decided to take a seat on my local board in the mid-1990s, I never knew that this would be my career, but it has certainly been my career. And Fort Edward, we're active members of the New York State School Boards. I think going back 2016 is when the district disaffiliated from the New York State School Boards Association. So we're hopeful that the board might consider returning to membership. And I do have some information I'll go over quickly in the folder, but I do have a video that will sort of serve as a testimonial on the membership. And I don't know if someone is here to cue that up or not.
He was here.
I know he had it there. I don't know if he, I think he minimized it. Might be under the Chrome browser there.
Oh, I'm not able to play on the screen. It's up on the screen.
It's just there, but it's not in your card.
So while we're waiting for that, I'll just cover some of the items in your folder. Again, we're a membership organization, so boards of education engage with the New York State School Boards Association for a variety of reasons. We just did a membership survey, and our members, really ranked us #1 on just information, particularly during the COVID years. We were working 24/7 around the clock. There were a lot of executive orders that districts were really relying on the New York State School Boards Association to interpret and sort of get out to the field. So that's something we're pretty proud of because we are always pushing out research reports, latest news, sort of trends. Some of you that may have been members prior to 2016, we have a daily e-clipping service, which is extremely popular, and it really highlights news of every school district across the state. So you can break it down by region, and you might look at some of the trends that are happening at the state. Sometimes they're very particular to board meetings, and we all know that school boards really gained a lot of notoriety over the last 3 years, particularly during the public comment period and all the uncertainty around COVID itself. So we were able to really put out a lot of helpful guidance and webinars, which are all, again, part of the membership affiliation. So we'll go to the video. And this is really sort of a testimonial of members across the state who are members of the New York State School Board.
You're on a mission. As a member of a school board, you are responsible for the success of the students in your district. The buck stops with you. Who can you trust to take this responsibility as seriously as you do? At the New York State School Boards Association, we're on a mission too. We want to support your dedication to your school district by providing the tools to help you make informed decisions, build trust in your school and community, and set the course for student success. So, how do we do it? We do it through hard work.
They travel, they will come to us and let us know what's going on.
The concerns of different districts are different. For NYSSBA to find a way to connect on the dots is what they do best.
Everybody has a voice. I think that's one of the main benefits that NYSSBA can bring to a board.
Without NYSSBA, I could never serve on this board of education that I serve on effectively.
We do it through support.
I believe that NYSSBA understands my local district's issues.
We're a high poverty area. Some of the districts have a great amount of wealth. NYSSBA is able to separate those, able to apply what they have to offer to your district and customize and help out individually.
We rely on NYSSBA for support in many things. We rely on it all the time.
One major concept is the advocacy.
Dealing with trainings, updating of information, things that are affecting you in your community, affecting you in your school district.
They do understand that they're dealing with a diverse population and they do a good job of covering everybody's bases.
We do it through shared values.
We've all got the same problems. We've all got the same issues.
We don't have all the answers, we don't have all the good ideas, but I believe in having that conversation with other board members from other school districts is a way to help bring out, the best in our district as well for our students.
NYSBA has demonstrated that they share the values of my local district. Through all the work that they do in their advocacy, they understand the issues that we face and the needs of the district.
We do it through a focus on community. Because at NYSBA, we know every student and every district is different, but equally important. Rural, suburban, urban, or anywhere in between, each school board deserves exactly what they need to succeed. Through your district's membership in NYSBA, you become part of an association of well-informed and effective school board members. Because when you succeed, your community grows stronger and your children achieve so much more.
What I found with NYSBA was a real personal bunch of folks. They were approachable, and I felt that the support was there. Not only did they impart knowledge to me, but they listened to what I had to say. I felt important to that organization.
Traveling along the Northway going south, you will see near exit 7, that big building, New York State School Board. That's where we live. We have a staff of about 53 staff members. We are not the largest state school boards association in the country, so we keep a pretty lean staff, but we're always in the field, continually working with members. We do a lot of evening training with boards of education as well. And something to also keep in mind is we provide district clerk services. We've really expanded that program. We have a private online forum for clerks to share information on voting, open meetings law. It's very popular, and for example, we just ran a statewide district clerk training. We have over 200 district clerks across the state on just the different legal facets of serving as a clerk, and again, covering some of the open meeting components to their job. We also, all of our publications go out to school administrators that are in the building as well. So it really gives them, an opportunity to really know what's going on across the state. And we do a lot of research reports. In your folder, I just put 2 examples. We did one, the hot off the press is effective meetings. This was something that many of our boards, particularly during COVID, really wanted more guidance on best practices in engaging with the community, and our team did an excellent job on that publication because we truly believe in community input. It's critically important to the board and the role that you play in your local communities. And I just gave you an example of one sometimes we get on email communication as you serve on the board. How does that comport with open meetings law? So those types of research reports we're putting out all the time. And they're usually very timely topics that members are interested in. Any board member can contact the New York State School Boards Association and speak with one of 5 staff attorneys. You might just have a general legal question. We don't supplement your general counsel, but general legal questions that you might have is all part of your membership. And we also have an extensive communications department, and we can be helpful in crisis communication, other things that the district might need. So I think we have a little bit for everyone. I can tell you as a school board member, I really got connected to the New York State School Boards Association because there was a lot I really didn't know about serving on the board, and the public's view of what school board members do can be very different from reality. I think many of you, certainly understand that part of it. I always felt that you're always growing and you're learning, and education is changing pretty quickly. So we're really trying to stay in the forefront of that. And then we do have a big advocacy team that represents you both in Albany and Washington on the critical issues that are, facing local schools. The annual membership is around 5,700 per year. Our board of directors, we are governed by a state board of directors, has frozen annual dues for year number 3 in a row, and we're really starting to put more into the membership experience. So you'll see increased online trainings where there might not necessarily be a fee attached to that. And then if you go to our general website, if you're a member, you can log in and you can see all of the professional development that we have done. We're also being responsible to our remote audience as a result of COVID. Some good things came out of that. More of our members are wanting virtual content in their time on the Board of Education. I'll open it up for any questions that you might have regarding membership or affiliation with the New York State School Board.
Yeah, could you describe what's the number one benefit to the students of the district for being part of the association?
So I think as far as students, we do a lot of research on student achievement. And if you look at our tagline, we talk about good boards lead to good student achievement. So better boards increase student achievement. There is, the Iowa Lighthouse Study does great research on this. It looks at the board, the type of professional development it receives, and its relationship to student achievement, regardless if it's a wealthy district, poorer district, urban, rural. So the more professional development that a board gets, as people serve in that term, and again, this is one large national study, showed that student achievement actually increased in districts of all types of economic status. So we try to bring as much as possible to you. We do have researchers at the New York State School Boards Association. I don't know if I mentioned that, but it's a separate department that really looks at student achievement at all different levels. So for example, we have the largest educational conference. It's going to be coming up in Syracuse, New York in 2 weeks. We get about 2,000 to 2,500 people at that conference. And a lot built into that conference is student achievement and programming. How are districts moving the needle as far as improving student performance? What types of programs, what types of technology are they using? So that's something we do pretty continuously. Again, our central focus is the board itself. Other questions? That's a good question, by the way. Thank you.
So your policy services, they are additional to the fee?
They are additional to the fee if you want a policy service, and they come at all different levels. Some people just want a policy update service. So that's more of a nominal fee if you're a member of the New York State School Board Association. I know your board just received the board docs demonstration of going to board docs for your meetings. We're the sort of the central provider of board docs, and you'll be going, I think, likely through your local BOCES if you move forward with a board docs. Is that correct?
We haven't had a board docs presentation.
Oh, you have not? Okay.
Just the clerk has.
Oh, the clerk has. Okay. So if you were a non-member, if you go with board docs, for example, and you're a non-member, you're going to just pay the non-member fee for board docs. If you're a member, there's actually a savings to that annual fee for being a member of the New York State School Board Association. More of our boards are going to the board docs component, and for people, it's really your paperless board meeting. It is phenomenal if you get a chance to see how it works. And it's good for the community, it's good for the board. So I think I talked to your clerk briefly, and there was maybe a brief demonstration of the board docs component. And our central board docs person is housed right at the New York State School Board.
Any other questions? Appreciate your comment.
Thank you so much.
We'll certainly reach out.
Yeah, and one final thing, I just want to say thank you for the work that you do. This is School Board Recognition Month. I left you a little appreciation gift, but we do thank you for all the hours you put into this job. I think a lot of people don't understand the time and the commitment that people really put into serving on a Board of Education. It doesn't go unnoticed, and again, we want to thank you all for your loyal service to your community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we'll go through committees. At this time, if any member of the audience has something better to do, it's okay to leave what you guys have done. Just want to put that out there so you're obliged to stay.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, ladies. You did a wonderful job. Thank you.
Some board committee reports. Finance committee this evening reviewed our cash Negotiations Committee met last week as well. And do we have any meetings that we have to come up with a date for?
I need to do policy committee update. We did meet on September 26th, policy committee met, and you do have the minutes in your, you have the minutes in your packets from that meeting, and we will need to set up another meeting. I think we should wait and try to establish that date through email. October is extremely busy with regards to things happening here at the school. But for policy, we reviewed the role of the Erie BOCES policy service. At our next meeting, we need to clarify our own process and procedure for how we're getting policies reviewed and approved and then updated into the manual, both online and the hard copy. We had several policies that we did review and approve last year as a board, but they're not updated in our manuals. So we need to do a little backtracking to figure out what has been approved and how to get those updated. We had discussed at that meeting, there was a new policy revision that had come out for suicide, policy number 7540. We originally had discussed that we would put it on the agenda for tonight. I have asked Rich and Tom that we hold on that. I think it's important to hold on anything new until we can clarify our own policy, our own process and procedure, clean up the pieces that need to be cleaned up from last school year and get that taken care of, and then move forward with the new policies. It is not time sensitive. It is not a required update. So I am recommending that come off our agenda, which Tom will review that. You also have a copy of that policy in your packets. That needs to just go and be shredded because we are not going to be reviewing that tonight. It will come back for full review once we clear things up. So we do have an audit summary chart, which we will also need to go through carefully to determine if there are pieces, policies that have been approved that we need to get updated in the manual that requires. We need to do a cross-check on that chart. So we have some work cut out for us moving forward as a policy committee. I have it in my head how to best proceed with that so that it can flow as seamlessly as possible. It's just going to take us some time to work through those pieces. So once we see a calendar a little more clearly for the next month or so, we'll communicate to set up another policy committee meeting.
I do have a
Question, sure.
Yeah. So moving forward, I know that we just had a big staff changeover as far as admin in the school. I was wondering if anything has been brought to the policy committee yet about like what's been going on as far as if you guys have any more new policies as far as discipline, like the order of discipline is, who takes care of discipline in the school, who is the day-to-day interaction with that kind of thing. Change or that might be going on. Just realized it's October now and we've been in over a month of school now, so I was wondering if anything has been settled yet. Or like started anything.
I don't know if that's things that would be brought to policy committee per se. Those, that would be like day-to-day functioning of the school and what roles each person is playing. So it wouldn't necessarily get back to the policy committee. So I think if you have questions about who's handling discipline, that would go to Erin.
Okay,
first. I would say Erin first.
I was just wondering if anything's changed because I know we do have a full staff and everything.
I can say this, we are looking at the flow chart, who's in charge of what, and who's in charge of
Yeah,
who.
that's
Is that
exactly
where
what I'm
we're going?
wondering. Yeah.
We're looking at the flow chart. We're obviously looking at some disciplinary procedures. But I think at the October 19th retreat that we're having with Dr. Brooks, because he talked about, Amanda, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think you talked about it last time, was administrative procedures. That we would have our policy, then we would have our administrative procedures kind of manual.
Correct.
So I think that's what we need to tighten down, create, or wash.
That's
And
what-
I'm not even sure.
That's all I was wondering, because it would be nice to see like what the flow is, because eventually I'd last step is the board technically of all the topic matters, so it'd be nice to see like all the button steps and everything.
That's a good point.
Great question, and I think it'll be that administrative procedure,
Exactly.
and they're working on those pieces, and so then once that's
But I think
kind of
we'll be
squared away,
working,
then they'll be coming back around and we'll work on some of that.
I think hopefully we'll be working on it hand in hand.
We subscribe to the service with the BOCES, and once a year, they send us an audit of our policy. And they say, hey guys, things changed on policy 15A, we've got to rework the wording, and then that list goes to the policy committee, where we usually say, their wording is awesome, let's just adopt it this way. But there may be policies particular to the school that you're referring to.
That's what I was
that
thinking.
we also have to address with discipline and.
Yeah, not just the policy meetings necessarily, but policy in general.
Correct. And we will talk about that on retreat, it's going to be a part of that retreat.
Perfect, thank you.
So we will come up with a meeting.
Did you want to try to open up the calendars and look at some dates for policy?
Well, yes, Ellen's a pretty important part of that committee, and she's not in attendance.
Okay. Which one?
Would people be comfortable if I sent an email to policy committee members and try to bring down the date that way? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
I would like to, just for the Personnel Grievance Negotiations Committee, we do have meetings, Toby, on 10/27 and 11/9, that I would like noted. Also, Tom, John, and I know Ella's not here, but we'd also like to have a pre-meeting for those meetings on one of these dates, if you could open up your calendars. 10/17 at 6:30 possibly.
This is for the reimbursement.
Yep.
Got a building project.
It would be right after that, it would be a lot for you, but.
All right, so we've got building on 10/17, and right after that we'll do negotiations.
Are you good with that, John?
I will not be here.
Okay, so
I'll be out of town.
are you out of town that whole week?
Yeah,
That whole week?
but I mean, if it's the 17th, I'll be probably in Oklahoma. If you want to do it, I can try to call
You want to do a Zoom?
Yeah.
You would Zoom in?
in. Yeah, I mean, either Zoom or phone.
Okay.
Let's figure the logistics out.
Yeah.
Just let me know.
For the building stuff,
Yeah, that's.
All right, so 10/17 for the Personnel Grievance Negotiation Committee at 6:30. Yeah. And then you said the Building Committee, which should be Capital Project Committee, right?
I have it listed as building as a capital project.
Yeah. Do you have that noted too?
Yes.
And that's on the same night, 10/17
Oh, this one.
at 5:30.
What was that date again?
10/17.
At
Five.
And I think we wanted to have an athletic committee meeting. I know that's been,
Yeah, we
Oh,
pushed
yeah,
that out.
yeah.
so I don't even remember who's on that committee. I'm sorry.
what time was that at?
Which one?
Capital Project,
5:30.
5:30.
Who's on the athletic committee? I'm sorry.
You got it on the chair.
Me,
John's the chair?
James, Christina.
John's the chair.
You want to try to get a date before the next
I think
meeting?
we should probably go into November.
Yeah.
on that.
Okay.
Is anybody against Monday on that?
Which one? The 7th?
The 7th would work for me. Taylor?
Let me just confirm, but I think that'll be fine.
I'm going to have to pass on that one.
Pass on that?
Unless you want to bring me presents, that's going to be my 50th birthday.
So,
It's a big day.
presents are accepted, of course. But my family may have something in store for me. I'm not sure.
James, you on that? Yeah. Are you good with that?
Looks good right now.
Like what time was
Which date are you talking about?
The 7th?
Oh, you don't want to do
I
that.
can't do the 7th.
How about the 14th?
14.
Okay? No? 14th?
And this is from which committee?
You have a board meeting,
Ah.
and you have a 5:30 for the. I can go the week of the 7th. Do you have any dates open on the week of the 7th? 10.
Thursday.
We have our circus in town that night, and it's the day before the long weekend, but I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it.
Email thing, why don't you send that out?
Yeah, we'll send an email.
Make sure you have it sent out.
Okay. You don't want to try for one more?
No. We'll send an email out.
All right.
I can try.
I tried.
Every day you turn 50.
Sorry, I can't make the 7th work, I'm sorry.
More than okay.
I am going to hand part of this off. At the last board meeting, we spoke about adding to our cafeteria staff, which I believe is well needed. But there were questions about where that additional funding would come for that personnel. So we have Mr. Patrick Keneally, BOCES here, who is our director of our food service, shared, and he's come to speak about that. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, everyone, for letting me speak. Like Rick said, I'm Patrick Keneally. I work for Capital Region BOCES. I'm your contracted food service director. I work with Joy Glass as my day-to-day manager here, and I'm here 2 days a week. I oversee like your entitlement spending, create your menus, do all the, I file the claims for federal and state reimbursement. And as we're growing the program, it's become glaringly apparent we do need another part-time help. Based on last year's budget, our cafeteria salaries, we came in around 8,100 under budget. So there is room to get that person already in our budget. And we also ended the year with a surplus in our C fund, and the remaining funds needed to get this part-time person would come out of that surplus. So there's the C fund, cafeteria fund will completely cover the cost of the additional labor. So we're not looking for any transfers from a general fund or anything to grow that person. But we're looking to increase our high school participation. We're looking at creating a more robust grab-and-go program, more than just a hot entree. So we're going to need additional hands in the kitchen to prepare those additional items. We've made a big push to use more fresh produce, and it's actually, we're now buying most of our produce now local to New York State. So there's additional processing things. We're not buying individual bags of baby carrots from California. We're getting local New York carrots, peeling them. Capital Region BOCES gave some equipment that helped that. We've got some food processors, industrial size, so we can make our own carrot coins, our own cucumber coins. So the students are getting a more local New York experience. But with that being said, the last 2 years during COVID, the requirements of how you ran your program were lessened. We didn't have to have a cashier. You could just do a click at the end to track how many meals you're serving. Those waivers are over. We have to have a cashier at the end of the line putting in student numbers. Some students put in their own numbers, but we have to track students by meal now. So that person used to be able to float, help serve, help do register. Now they have to be a specific register person. So we do need another food service type helper. And it's looking like probably about 4 hours a day. And like I said, it would be completely covered by the C fund.
Any questions?
Thank you, Patrick.
No problem.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, guys.
We have time.
Okay. You guys okay with talking about that? Anyone have any thoughts about it right now? Let's go. Until that person, yeah.
That's I just want to thank Patrick for being here tonight. We kind of screwed it out there. It's okay. But he is a guy who he has no excuses. He will come up with answers and solutions to any issues. He helped us out with our day one PD breakfast and lunch, and I can tell you from personal experience, the lunch menu is pretty good. They had cheesy tater tots today, which I indulged in. They had a chicken kind of bowl, like KFC, like chicken and little mashed potatoes, gravy, and corn. It's pretty good. So the selections, I think, are getting better. Yes, sir?
The lunch is the best I've seen in 22 years.
All right. Sorry you're not here. I will definitely relay that message. Thank you. All right. On September 29th, I had a call with the State Education Department regarding the sustainability after ESSER. According to the representatives from this office, a survey was filled out by our business office prior to my appointment. I have to assume the results of the survey raised a red flag because I don't normally get calls to meet with SED. So I did meet with them. As the ESSER funds are going to run out in 2024, they stated this was a proactive measure and wanted to support the district as much as they could. I asked if they could provide more money, and that request was quickly and politically correctly denied. In the end, they were very concerned to hear that we had placed reoccurring funds into our ESSER accounts, such as salaries. However, they were happy to hear that we're taking steps to move full salaries and part of some salaries out of ESSER and back into the general fund. They were also happy to hear that we have a long-range plan. In lieu of this meeting, I have asked administrators to review staffing and enrollment. I would suggest that as a board, we review our tax revenues and future projections, and that we additionally look at our one-time expenditures as we have in our current budget, and look to see if they qualify for the use of ESSER funding as we move salaries out and have more ESSER funding to spend. Last, we must look to see if there are items that we can run through our BOCES to take advantage of any COSERs, utilizing our BOCES aid to approximately 80%. So what does that mean? That basically means if we spend $10,000, we run it through BOCES, we're going to get $8,000 of that back, but you have to put the $10,000 up front. Okay? I can assure you that Mr. Diefenbeck, Mrs. Long, Mr. Perkins, along with the other FEH staff in the business office, as well as our financial consultants, are all watching the books and continue to look at our financial stability. The long story longer of this is we have a lot of work to do. But there's a light at the end of the road that I know will allow us to sustain programs that meet the needs of our students. We should be receiving BOCES aid from last year in this month, and we have to look at how the Champlain Hudson Power Express pilot is going to help us. This was another meeting I had recently with Tetra Tech Associates. So the Champlain Hudson Power Express pilot, this is an underground power line that will begin in Quebec and run through to Queens, New York City. This power line is expected to be fully operational in 4 years, 2026. And construction in FE for this project could begin as early as next fall. This is a 30-year pilot, which will invest over $3 million over a 30-year timeline. This is good news. However, as you know, there is a bubble point that will affect the tax base. We need to better understand how that's going to affect our tax base. I suggest we bring in Bernard and Donegan to review our long-range plan and ask how this pilot will affect us. I additionally suggest that we ask the question of how we can time things with a potential capital project. In summary, we've made moves in the ESSER grant that align with the suggestions of our state education department. We have a pilot program coming in, and we have a potential capital project on the horizon in the next 5 to 8 years. Since some of these moves are fairly new, I'm asking your permission to inform Bernard P. Donegan of what has occurred and bring them to our January or February board meeting to reevaluate and present our 5-year plan again.
So just to clarify.
Yes.
Because they just came August or September-ish.
Yep.
And presented 5-year plan.
They
Am I
did.
correct?
They
Yeah?
did.
And so you're saying to have them come back in January, February-ish to do an update on the 5-year plan?
Correct, and the reason why is that board meeting was a little, I guess, hectic.
Yep.
And I couldn't really understand what they were telling me.
Yep.
That's just me being selfish. I think we had nothing to do with anybody else. We had a quorum, we had to dismiss, and then it kind of got, anyway, I couldn't really digest what they were telling me.
It was very disjointed.
Yes.
So,
And I think that Joyce and Chuck and Greg and myself have been, I think there are changes that they need to be aware of.
Yes.
I asked them specifically about the pilot though, and she had an answer that was in the presentation. So, we phrase it as we need updates. These things were already in there in the presentation.
Yeah.
But certainly asking for more clarification and an update is fine. But I'm almost 100% sure every item you mentioned was already in the 5-year plan.
I don't disagree.
Well, that was, absolutely, it's calculated. We're talking about what we look like without ESSER, moving things, that's a different ballgame.
Okay.
Just by taking salaries, putting them in the general fund and taking that ESSER. It's gonna help you see what that looks like after ESSER's done.
Changes.
So,
Okay, I think it's a good idea, not only for us, but that would be a nice meeting where the public really understand what these monies are, how they're spent, and why they're spent, where they are.
And I would just like to be able to talk verbatim about this pilot, what years those are going to be affected, and I'm just not, I can't do that because I don't understand it. Yeah, so I'd like to know that more and to be able to ask some in-depth questions. And I also have to think that there were smart people here before me as well. I know there were. So for some reason, there were salaries in ESSER, and then we were kind of coached to take them out. But I want to know what is the best path. I'm not saying what we're doing is not a great path, because obviously SED is suggesting that we're on the good path of what we're doing. But again, in speaking to my predecessors here, there's some rationale behind it. And I want to be able to explain that to people who deal with dollars and cents and big multi-million-dollar budgets every day.
someone remember the guy that came here from the IDA?
Oh.
Did that presentation. His name's not important, but there is a presentation. That has the breakdown over 30 years.
O'Brien.
Tax effect. Right, O'Brien from the IDA. We may even have that presentation in the drive somewhere, but we can easily get it. He did come and present to the public how that breaks down. So that might be helpful to have, just for your own knowledge.
there should be a hard copy of that presentation too. We did have it, so we're back and looking.
Thank you.
We have obviously consensus to have.
Yes. Thank you. October 15th, the SED auditor is a deadline. Chuck, if I'm over-speaking myself, chime in. As you know, there's a slew of surveys and documents in the New York State of Education Business Portal that are due on October 15th. The summary of that is why I'm telling you is because sometimes you get emails saying if you don't meet the deadlines, they're going to start attacking your state aid. Okay? I've been receiving emails from the state that we still have work to do in some of these areas. Why am I telling you this? Because I don't want you to get panicky, because according to Mr. Diefenbach, our interim business person, if we do miss the October 15th deadline, the hard deadline is November 15th. And he has guaranteed to me that we are going to make those deadlines. Why are we not making the 15th deadline? Clearly, we've had some transitions in our business office, and unfortunately, tell me our auditor's company, Chuck. Bonadillo, they have to be here in order for us to complete the task. They're not getting here until the 15th, due to backlogs, due to other things, due to maybe some things on our part as well, prior to what I've got here, but I'm just being transparent where we are. November board meeting, I'd like your permission to zoom in our interim business official, Mr. Greg Diefenbach, to then, so he can review the budget calendar, so we can adopt our budget calendar in December.
Yes.
He will also discuss placing, possibly on the May ballot, a vote to open a capital reserve for a potential capital project. Okay. I want to thank Alec for being here, because we are live and in person with our community, so we thank him for being here. Round of applause for Alec. Thank you very much. I also want to let you know that my secretary, Mrs. Casey Ferguson, she sent out individual emails to specific staff in charge of extra class accounts. As you know, we had a large bubble in the student council account, but upon further research, it was only $1,600 that was actually dedicated to the student council account, and the rest was dispersed with our elementary people. And they have been informed by my secretary how much they have to spend, and hopefully we will not be in the same situation as we've been in the past years, where we have that big bubble account that the auditors slap our hands for. But we've got a long time to deal with that, and we'll keep you updated on that. On Friday, October 7th, I will organize a Zoom call with other superintendents in the county, along with Washington County DA Tony Jordan and the Washington County DSS Commissioner Tammy DeLorme and Mike Gray, one of the directors of the Youth Bureau. The goal was to begin conversations on how to attack student attendance. Many ideas were shared, and these were my takeaways. Most schools have added staff in the form of a social worker, parent, community educator, or a truants officer to attack attendance. We have added a social worker, we are in line with other schools. DA Jordan spoke of a checklist he had distributed to area schools, so we're aligned with the expectations of his office when it comes to educational neglect and non-compliance. Since there were many new superintendents, he is going to send that to me and I'm going to forward that along. So I'm looking forward to seeing those. And I will organize another meeting with the superintendents and the three involved, and I'm going to try to get the leader of our probation department as well. I think that would be a good thing. And I am to bring specific examples of how we have been tracking attendance in some of the trials and tribulations we may have had with the county in regards to student attendance. So, Ms. Scott, you and I will be having some good conversations, and I'll be taking copious notes. Buildings and grounds, the sidewalk, as you know, was in disrepair. It still is. I haven't got a timeline from Mr. Maston, as I thought it would be completed already, but I'll get that from him and pass that along to you. It is blocked off, and there is a plan for repair. We are preparing the grounds for the homecoming game and the homecoming event this coming Saturday. We just came through a successful fire inspection, and our press box will now be on the ground rolls. So we are no longer allowed to not look at that in fire inspection. So that will be coming through. What will take to get that up to code will be in question, and I will keep you updated as we make progress with it.
So it wasn't at the last fire inspection, but it will be in the fire?
Yes, ma'am. I completed a Facebook post today with other updates. I don't know if you guys want to keep up on that. No. We did meet with the student body, the high school student body, to talk about my student liaison committee that I'm planning on hopefully meeting once with every month starting this month. I've got about 2 or 3 students that have expressed interest, but the goal is to have 1 to 2 students at each grade level from grades 6 to 12. And I'll meet with them once a month on certain topics, and I'll be taking them out of class at different period intervals as the subsequent month. So I got to do a little more work on that because I haven't gotten the numbers that I want, but I'll keep you updated on that. And we did present the possibility of a student board member to the students, and there was some interest in that.
I also want to thank you for your work as a board member. October 17th to the 21st is Board of Education Appreciation Week. It's next week, and I just want to thank you and personally, obviously thank you for the opportunity, and we have some surprises for you in my conference room at the end of the week. So thank you all for your work here. We appreciate it. And I will embarrass one of the board members because in 2 weeks she will be getting married, and I want to wish her the best of luck in that endeavor. So good luck to Taylor. Getting married on October 28th, would you say? So congratulations, round of applause. Sorry if I was a little long-winded, but hopefully you got something good out of it.
Principals report.
Alright, good evening. So we had our open house on October 4th from 6 to 7:30. We had approximately 90 families represented, which was a huge turnout. The survey went out to the teachers to gather data with which to improve next year's event, as you know, talking about time of year, length of time, format, because I'm always looking to reflect on events we do. And we collected email addresses from parents, so a similar survey will be going out to the parents who were in attendance to find out what they liked about the event, what they wish was a little bit different. And thank you to all the teachers who came, everybody, all of our staff was represented, which was great. CTE Works, our 8th graders went to the City Center in Saratoga for a career and tech ed conference. They got to hear a keynote speaker and got to visit some displays that featured the trades. So that's great because it's a step in getting our students college and career ready. The Council for Prevention's Too Good for Drugs program is beginning this month at Fort Everett. They will present to grades 3 through 8, and then they continue their curriculum in March. They'll be pushing into classrooms, talking about substance abuse prevention. October 13th and 14th, we will be participating in Fire Safety Week. The Fort Everett Fire Department will have a truck here for the pre-K through 5 to look at, and they are doing presentations to each grade, pre-K through 5, including our elementary life skills class. Our 3rd grade is going to the Old Fort House Museum on the 21st. They will have an introduction to Fort Edward history and see the Riverside Schoolhouse. So Mrs. Smacko and Mrs. Bruce will be taking the 3rd graders down there. That's exciting. We had a discipline meeting for grades 9 through 12, which was especially targeting bathroom usage and congregating in the bathroom and not using it for the purpose it was intended. So the plan is to monitor the bathrooms and looking at the possibility of going back to the 2-a-day bathroom pass if necessary. We're also checking into software called eHall Pass, which is an electronic tracking where students go into an electronic bulletin board, really get permission to go to the bathroom. We can limit bathroom access to certain students. We can say these two should not be in the bathroom at the same time. So if I try to log in and Joyce is already in the bathroom, we've restricted that we can't be in the bathroom together. It will tell me, no, I can't go to the bathroom until she's back. So looking at that, it'll give us, Rich and I sat for a demo of it. It gives you a lot of data, which is great because that way if a student is failing class and the parent isn't sure why, we can say, well, they've spent, a total of 68 minutes out of that class over the past 3 weeks and they're missing that instructional time. So we are looking at that as a method of trying to control the congregation in the bathroom. I've recently released my PLC, Professional Learning Community and Professional Development schedule. So faculty has 1 faculty meeting a month with me, 1 grade level meeting a month. In the elementary, teachers have 1 professional development meeting a month after school. And at the junior, senior high, teachers will be divided into professional learning communities. 1 is social emotional learning. They'll focus on an advisory for next year. Academic and engagement. There's going to be an attendance PLC, safety and discipline, and character ed. So a survey was given to teachers and they picked their kind of top 2, and I will be assigning them based on those results to a PLC. Some data, attendance, as of today, for the first day of school, our overall attendance is 91%. Problem grades, as we kind of predicted with our 9th and 10th grade, which is 79% and 83% respectively. And our rock stars are grades 12 and 5 with 96% for both of those. So we can see easily where our work needs to be done is at the current 9th and 10th grade. To try to address that, I have now been registered for an Improving Student Attendance series of workshops through BOCES. So it's 6 sessions. The first one is at the end of this month. So working with a lot of districts in the area, specifically focused on improving student attendance. As of today, I've processed 136 referrals, 20 days of in-school assigned, and 20 days of out-of-school suspension assigned total. We are now doing all of our discipline digitally, so instead of writing a handwritten referral, which then would go to me for processing, which then would go to a secretary for data input, teachers are now directly inputting their referrals into the computer. So it saves a step and allows for quicker processing of those referrals. So I've seen that as an improvement. It just makes everything a lot faster. I was asked to report on graduation rate. Of our current 24 seniors, 2 currently are at risk of not passing the required class for this quarter. Granted, there's still 35 weeks in the year for them to get those grades up, and assistance is being provided to those students. This month we started last month, sorry, we started our PPS meetings. So every Tuesday, Mrs. Long, myself, our social worker, and our school counselors and our school psychologists meet to target kind of heavy hitters for behavior and attendance, and work on plans for that. Good news, there is a potential for a fishing club in our county. It's in its infancy stages now. It's being run through athletics. So we're just, feelers got sent out just to, hey, stay tuned. This is something that they wanted to know if area districts were interested, and we certainly would be interested in exploring that possibility anyway. Another opportunity for our students to be engaged. Our first round of ineligibility letters have gone home. There were 50 students failing at least 1 class as of last week. Athletes, as a result of that, any athletes on that list are required to stay after school with the teacher of the class they were failing until 3 o'clock every day. Cannot practice unless the teacher signs off that student is taking steps to turn those grades around. They don't have to be passing the very next day, but at least they're taking steps, they're making up work, they're catching up. 6 through 12 progress reports are being mailed home this week. The PSAT will be administered tomorrow. We have 14 11th graders signed up to take that. That's the practice SAT, so it's a good indicator of how those students will do on the SAT, which they may need to get into a 4-year college. We had a prom for seniors on Saturday. It was a fabulous event. There were 35 students who attended. Ryan Herman took a ton of pictures that are posted on Facebook. It was a great event. The senior class did a great job of decorating the marketplace space. They did it very cost effectively, and it was kind of a less is more theme. It was very classy, and the kids had a great time. They were talking about it today. They did a fabulous job. There is a post-prom party at Adventure Racing, so 2 a.m. Kids went there, and they had a great time there, so. We have Melissa Rosenthal has talked to me, and we're working on a trip to the Holocaust Museum in New York City for our 10th and 11th graders in April. It kind of ties together global history, which they learn in 10th grade, and U.S. history, which they learn in 11th grade. So those 2 classes can look at the Holocaust through 2 different lenses. So we are working on planning that trip. We are also talking about some fundraising opportunities so that students can fundraise to defray the cost of that trip. And my last update is homecoming this is Spirit Week. So today was Holiday Jammy Day, so you're welcome. Joyce and I both changed. We were at Holiday Jammies earlier, so we decided not to treat you to that site. But there's lots of great participation with the Holiday Jammies. Tomorrow is Disney Meme Day, so we'll all be dressed as Disney characters. Class Colors is on Thursday, and then Friday is Blue and White Day with the pep rally in the afternoon. People are very excited about that. Homecoming game is here at Fort Edward under the lights at 7 p.m. And then Saturday from 7 to 10 is the high school homecoming event. Little fire pits and lots of music and yard games. It's going to be a good time. Please stop by.
Yeah, sure. Mine's not quite as long as Aaron's. You have a lot more activity. So our Career Center kids, formerly called Life Skills, we like Career Center better because we focus on college and career ready, made apple crisp, and they had their first market, Schluckers Market, and sold it to the staff, sold it to other students. So they really brought the process from beginning to end as far as budgeting, going shopping, making their product, and then doing their finances at the end. So they were very happy about that. It was actually really delicious.
Oh, it's
very yummy, so spoiled us a little bit. First round of school-wide assessments is done. We have done our first benchmarking with IRB, the Brigance, and the BETA4. So every student, pre-K through 11, has had that first round. So now the instructional part comes in, where the teachers do their best and give the kids all those corrections, and we assess again in January, and then finally again in June. But we are done, and they're now going to use that data to drive their instruction and to group their students and to make instructional changes if they need to. So that was really helpful. PBIS character, the survey is complete. The percentage off the top of my head, 86% wanted it back for pre-K through 5, but there is a group that also wanted up to 8th grade. So there'll be a committee created next to start addressing it. Nobody really saw it applying so much to high school. By that point, they're not really interested in tickets, they're not really interested in that kind of reinforcement. But elementary really needs, and so does middle school, a common language, common expectations, common outcomes. So that's going to be our conversation in that area. AIS and RTI is in full swing. The state reporting data is out and it's disembargoed. So now we can have it and it can be public. So now we're using that to make sure that every student who qualifies receives RTI and it's getting the benefit of that program behind us. The business office is working with me right now for the healthcare bonuses. So there are certain titles within the state that will qualify for healthcare bonuses. Right now, for us, it looks like it's the speech pathologists that are going to be the ones qualifying. So we're washing out the rest of that data by tomorrow, but there's such parameters on it and timelines on it that it's kind of difficult to qualify, especially because we're a school district. There's a reduction in out-of-district placements, which is really nice because BOCES closed the program, we got to bring children back, which was really nice. And a couple kids moved, which kind of helped us out a little bit. So we'll take the 4 less students going out of district and enjoy that piece. CTE was a little over budgeted with 20 kids attending. We are supposed to have 17 slots, we're down to 18 slots. So it's kind of working its way out based upon attendance. So that's really helpful. Elementary, so everybody knows about the carpet in the classroom. Every teacher in elementary loves that carpet is spaced well. So do childhood things like lice or bugs or COVID or flu or whatever. So we removed the rugs, but we added faux mats for every classroom from pre-K through 5. So they all have that area again. They've all made all sorts of interesting patterns and areas and even individual spots that the kids have really appreciated, and the staff have a spot as well as it's cleanable every day. So we can be clean and be healthy and have a spot. And that's really the end of mine. Oh, sorry, one more thing. Rich has decided to send me TCIS at the end of the year so I can be trained a trainer and have therapeutic intervention back there at the school for children who may require physical intervention, as well as the main part of that is de-escalation. So I will then turkey that back to all of our staff who would require that. And we do have quite a handful of kids that sometimes do require us to intervene.
Good stuff. Great.
they have everything they need here at the school?
Yes,
As
they
far
have
as their
everything.
program?
Yep, they have everything and actually some better exposures that the parents appreciate. And they like that they're now part of our community. So like one of our kids is really proud he gets to be on the football team. He never got to do that before.
Oh, absolutely, I understand that's
So, yeah.
like number one priority, I just want to make sure that, I mean, we have been sending kids out for a long time, so I want to make sure our basic, our bones here are ready to bring these kids all back in, and they have everything they need as far as like, if they have to have more teachers to kids in their instruction classes or whatever the case may be, I just want to make sure that our bones here are good.
Absolutely.
Before the kids are all coming back.
Yeah, so we were fortunate where our school, our career center kids, we had 2 enrolled here at the building, so it's even questionable whether we could run that program because we had such low enrollment. So these kids came directly there and was actually able to make a program, which is really nice. So we are growing that and embellishing it throughout the year, and we're gonna add more to it because I want those kids to be like college and career ready when they leave us. So that was really helpful. We struggle in one area. Our children with emotional regulation is the most difficult group. And I would love to be able to build something within, maybe in a year or 2, we're not there yet. And they're probably the kids that keep me running the most, keep Aaron running the most, and all of our counselors trying to get them regulated. So that would be an area that I'd love to focus on, and this TCIS will help. I'm already trained, but I'm not a trainer, so that's gonna be really helpful for me now to be able to train the trainer and bring that back in the building for the immediate staff and de-escalate the kids. Instead of, Joyce, come to the room, Aaron, come to the room, or so-and-so left, we can intervene and then build capacity within here.
Question, I think I just want to clarify that I have the correct information. School psychologist, we did not hire one on staff at this point. We are using the 2 contracted people for evaluation purposes. Is that correct?
That is correct. So we've posted 3 times.
Yep.
And us, along with Galway and Greenwich, are still looking for full-time psychologists as well as a wing who we're trying to share. So we've been fortunate where Barb and Melissa have been covering that wing of us. So we're going to post 1 more time, and maybe in the spring we'll get the graduates. It'll be January graduates, spring grads, to get somebody on point here full-time.
Yep. And then the one other question I have, I think this might be a Rich, Aaron question. Is there a change that is occurring as far as athletic director responsibilities? I thought in one of your updates, at some point you said around October, there was potentially going to be a change.
The short answer is no, only because we were hoping to recruit as we have a change, as in one person has decided to resign from that position. And then we were gonna hopefully bring somebody on and then redistribute.
Okay.
But now we have to redistribute in different ways. So we have to, because we haven't gotten any applicants for.
Has somebody resigned?
Yes, but we didn't have it in this one.
Should that be on?
Yes, but it's not. But it will be in November.
Okay.
And it'll have to be backdated to the
Got it.
resignation date.
Got it, okay. And then the one other thing, just generally, is back on September 22nd, Rich and myself and John went to the Adirondack Area Boards Association dinner and speaker that was at the Courtyard Marriott in Lake George, which was fantastic. The man who spoke, his name was Bill Daggett. Very, very good. I was hoping to maybe do it before this board meeting, which I did not get to it. He had said that we could email him and he will send his PowerPoint presentation. So I have that on my list of things to do, and if I could get that, there are pieces of that that I'd like to share out to the board. He made some very good points about the fact that the students that we're teaching today are not the students that we were teaching 20 years ago. And we're still using 20th century teaching with our students because it's forced from the top down. But his PowerPoint was amazing. His his message was amazing, and each thing I kept leaning to Rich and saying, when's his appointment with the state ed department? But he had a great delivery. It was a wonderful presentation. So no promises because I thought I'd have it. I emailed him. I haven't yet. But if I get that information, I will give some info at next month's meeting, and then Rich and John could jump into things that they remember. So yeah. It was very good, yeah. And we sat with several people from Saratoga, and it was a good experience. So, yeah.
Those things are great.
Very nice.
All right. Moving right along. Guys. You guys want to mind?
Yeah, we should. Taylor and I are going to present to follow up our discussion on esports.
Putting batteries in the morning. Listen, don't feel bad about your to-do list. It's on my to-do list to email that back. It hasn't happened. I'm not sure it's on John's. It is. Because I'm wondering to try to get that. Was it 1,000?
Okay, we've got this one.
Is that one working?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
And we're both represented. Okay, this is just a follow-up discussion from the last board meeting. We talked about esports potentially adding as a club in the school, another type of sport for the students to access participate in. So first, what is esports? Esports actually stands for electronic sports. Electronic sports takes video gaming to another level with organized competitive gameplay between two teams governed by its own strict set of rules and guidelines. The difference is comparable to a pickup basketball game at a park versus a varsity high school basketball game. Esports requires teamwork and communication, critical and strategic thinking, creativity, sportsmanship, and leadership, much like traditional sports. I posted a lot of my sources here at the bottom. If anybody wanted to check it out, I have the links as well. So I first wanted to make a slide about the social and emotional benefits of esports. So even though esports is one of the most popular forms of entertainment amongst youth, there is often no place to share their enthusiasm for esports within the school community. Schools that adopt an esports program can reach these students who may feel they don't have a place within their school to be with their friends and share their passions. Some students find their place in a drama club or music program, others in traditional sports. Students who feel a connection to school and are involved in extracurricular activities are more likely to stay in school and graduate. So this one was written actually by a science teacher from Rensselaer School District. So proven popularity. Since 2018, when the National Federation of State High School Associations first recognized esports as an official sport, more than 8,600 high schools have started video gaming teams. Quote from a senior writer at National Education Association said this explosive growth is driven by student interest. About 90% of teams play video games and is matched by growth in esports scholarships and careers. Many teams already make money through donations, subscriptions, and ad revenue by streaming their play on online platforms like Twitch. Now they can employ a Cho'Gath, a favorite League of Legends character, to win a piece of the $16 million in esports scholarships awarded last year by nearly 200 colleges with esports teams. So this is a slide on college esports. SUNY, so the State University of New York, has their own esports league, which during the spring 2022 season had nearly 2,200 student enrollments in 50 participating campuses. There's another league that's also called National Association of Collegiate Esports, and that's just more around the country. And there's 175 colleges and universities associated with that program, many of which offer scholarships to play on the team. For example, Harrisburg University won ESPN's inaugural Collegiate Esports Championship in May 2019 and became the first college esports program to award full ride scholarships to its entire 16-player roster that season before. And finally, just a list of possible career opportunities that students can gain from having access to esports, similar to regular sports, but there's so much more. Event managers, graphic designers for games, software engineers, journalists to cover the sports just like regular sports, coaches, sales managers, marketing teams, production specialists, and for those few lucky ones, the professional gamers themselves. All right.
Okay, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of the sports program, covering kind of what the most popular games are currently, because I know not all of us play games, and I don't play most of these games either. One of them is called League of Legends, and this is basically a 5 versus 5 game where you look down at it from the top and you control little champions, and they kind of direct little minions, and the two sides fight and try and capture the base on the other side. It's very popular. Matches run about 45 minutes. Next one, this might be a little more familiar. It's called Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It's a fighting game where you control a character and you fight against the other person, usually 1v1, and there's tournaments for this game all over the country, and it's very popular. The next one I've got for you is called Rocket League. This is basically soccer with little remote-controlled cars. People play 3 versus 3, and yeah, it's sport just like soccer. You drive around the course and you pick up boosts by driving over these yellow things, and then the boosts let you do like flips and jumping in the air and hitting the ball into the other person's ball. There are some leagues for high schoolers that do shooter games. They certainly have less popularity. Specifically, there's public opposition to shooters. They're out there. Some leagues do them. I don't think we'll be getting into them, at least at the start. But just let you know, they're out there. There's varieties. I think these are Valorant, Fortnite, and I don't even know what the third one is. Covering a little bit about the startup costs. It does cost money. We can't run any esports games on computers that we already have. A computer needs a graphics card to run these esports titles. So there's a couple options. One would be to buy graphics cards for our existing computers in the computer labs. So that would be about $180 to $200 each. Or buy brand new gaming computers for about $500 to $1,000 each. And the two games primarily played on those computers would be Rocket League and League of Legends. Super Smash Brothers is a Nintendo game and it's played only on Nintendo Switches. So that would be a third option would be to buy some Nintendo Switches plus controllers. So $300 to $400 each. Software is a cost as well. Those two, League of Legends and Rocket League, are free to play. Switch games, generally $50. PC games, some clubs do Minecraft. That's the only one I can think of that is paid to play, and it's $27. Yearly expenses for coaching. Hopefully we'd have a teacher at the contract rate or an advisor. And then for organized league play, there are various high school and middle school leagues across the state at various price points. NERIC
is only doing Rocket League right now. They're charging $500 per school. Play VS has a per student rate, $80. They also have a unlimited rate and a entire school rate at various tiers. HESL is High School Esports League. Again, they have price tiers. NASEP is another organization. They do kind of one-off events that go for a week or 2 weeks and then end. And then this last option at the bottom is just locally organized play with other schools, which would be free, pretty much. And that's the end of my presentation. I did contact a few schools in Washington County and South Glens Falls. Most of them replied that they're not doing anything with esports. Hudson Falls does have a club at the middle school and high school level, and they just do local play amongst themselves and not involved in any of these leagues. Same with South Glens Falls. South Glens Falls has a club, and again, they're just kind of locally playing, not in any of these leagues. There's a cluster of schools around the Albany area that are much more heavily into these leagues and more further along in the process. So there are schools nearby that have a lot more experience. I picture if we were to get into it, we would start with local play with Hudson Falls and South Glens Falls. Are there any questions from the board?
I've got a couple of things. So I don't know how up to date those distance learning labs are, so I'm guessing graphic cards are probably out of the process. But so we probably have to invest in some computers.
My son has told me that the computers in Mr. Herman's room are 6th gen Intel CPUs, which would be fine for esports. Esports are generally very low system requirements titles to get the biggest audience and fastest frame rates. So it's possible that the computer lab computers could be upgraded, but
This is
I haven't
all-
talked about it.
That's good.
This would all be remote, so our kids would be in a room or rooms playing another sport.
Yeah, yep.
Not like they're all sitting in an auditorium with a bunch of laptops, right?
I don't think so.
I think, well, having like leagues definitely do that. Like a couple of my pictures that you saw, like high schools that are big into it, and they have kids that are really good at getting scholarships, can go and they'll meet at like conference centers or things like that, and they'll both have their setups on both sides. College a lot does, they have huge
They're like
arenas, they have arenas,
Yeah,
yes.
100 people all.
I've seen that like on TV, but.
Yeah.
But for our purposes, we would start off with very remote.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. One team plays another team. They're at their separate schools, connected over the internet.
Tim, you had a question? You got Ryan?
We got graphics cards in my computers in my room. They got Radeon Pros on them. So I can put anything else up. They got Core i7, like 9700s and something like that.
Okay.
I'll take your word that that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all.
No, I don't think so. I think Oliver was incorrect. He said 6th gen i5s.
No, I think they got i7s in them.
Okay.
And they got 4 gigabyte Radeon.
Tell Oliver to step it up.
Yeah. That might be something.
I can check tomorrow and send you this back.
I imagine that. How about bandwidth? Is there any hit to the bandwidth on these things? Do you know?
What'd you say?
Yeah, in my experience,
Bandwidth.
the ping is more important. It's not a high bandwidth activity, but distance from you to the server to the other team is what matters. So in general, these online games have servers in New York City. So you are talking to a server in New York City, which is talking to the server in South Glens Falls. That's pretty fast.
Just a quick chime in. In my former district, we had about 4 or 5 kids interested, and all we did was concentrate on Rocket League. We shared it through BOCES. And the BOCES guy was, let's just say, the superintendent of the league. And then he had many advisors in each one of the districts. And all he did was create a schedule, and most of the kids that were interested had their own equipment. So I guess, now I'm just speaking of Rocket League alone, so correct me if I'm wrong. There were times, so you had to get games in. So let's just say it's me and James versus you and Amanda. So we had to make sure that we would coordinate our time between Friday night and Monday morning. We would have to let the advisor know, hey, okay, we picked Saturday at 10 a.m. Now it's paid for the advisor, and sometimes the advisor can say. But they go in as spectators, and they basically watch us play, so we're not like bullying each other or making rude comments. And then once the game is over, our advisor would score, you know, Roche 2, Damali 1, and then they would do it that way. Almost, the kids that were interested where I was, we didn't have many, it was maybe 4 or 5, but they came with their own equipment. They had their own switches, they did PC or mouse, or yeah. So I think the point, why am I chiming in? But even if we didn't have our own equipment, I think there's other ways to do it and get kids involved.
So the next thing is kids involved.
Question. First of all, great presentation. How does it, and I should know the answer to this question, but how does it work with creating a club though? Is that a contract thing? Because clubs, I believe, are typically listed out in the contract, and so then so logistically, I don't know how you get from point A to point B on that. Which then I'm assuming as it said in the presentation, the cost for the advisor then is indicated in that contract. And then we have to be looking for an interest advisor after that. So my piece is, prior to seeing the presentation, after I thought about it last time, it was more of a logistics, like if this moves forward, what is, for any club, not even just.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, it would have to be for any.
Correct.
Yeah, the trap club.
Procedure is for that.
Trap club is probably the newest form of club that I can think of. I think it was, a couple of teachers started on a volunteer first year, I think. It was something like that. And then it became a regular club we actually talked about this year. So I think the first step is gauging student participation. See if there's someone who wants to step up and run the club, advise the club. There have been other clubs that have been volunteer strictly, and there hasn't been someone to step up from the faculty, folks that volunteer to the clubs. So I think we got to gauge student interest, see if there's anyone interested in running the club. And we got to find the money. Right? Right? So how do we go about gauging students? Is there a survey we can do? We talk to teachers or students directly and say, hey, what do you guys think about this? Would you be interested? And then if we've got enough interest, we approach the teachers and see if anyone's interested, and we go from there, right? Is everyone in favor of doing the next steps? Yeah. Cool. All right, let's do it.
So, Aaron will complete the survey to the kids, we'll bring the data back. I'll concurrently have a conversation with the FEDA president about the logistics side of it, and then we'll move forward from there.
Cool.
What age groups are you looking at?
We don't know.
I would say,
What age groups?
Like
I mean, we strictly did it with high school, but I'm thinking,
You have to look at that.
yeah, right?
We would have to clarify though, middle school, because sometimes sixth grade falls into the elementary realm, sometimes sixth grade falls into middle school.
Are they over
realm.
here now, though?
They're over there, which they, I don't want to speak for you, Marianne, but the sixth grade typically fall, they're like their own thing.
As far as the sports and clubs and things, we don't really get involved with extracurriculars because it's still considered elementary. So most of the extracurriculars are 7 and
Do you think there'd be any?
Oh, I know that there would be an interest in sixth grade.
Maybe
but,
just open it up
I mean,
and
it's
see,
up to-
and then we can talk about, just, I mean, right now it's just poking out, right, and see if
Yeah,
there's
let's
any
just
interest,
see
so we'll
who's-
see, get it back, and then we can knock it out and then we should be fine.
Let's see who's interested, and we'll go from there. Awesome. Thank you, guys. It's good. Appreciate it.
Can I ask you, is that program we're gonna have at the library, will that be a predicate for this thing, or can it be augmented, or is that?
What was the first part?
The library program that we're having now with the kids, should we tie that in together, see?
Maybe, I don't know, that was just kind of an experimental thing.
Yeah, I know, so I'm just curious how that would go, if that would help augment this, so we get more kids involved there. Again, really to this thing get started. Just curious.
Rich put on the ballot, might help garner interest if we told the kids specific games. So are you interested in Minecraft, are you interested in?
Minecraft, Rocket League.
Rocket League.
What are the two that fall?
Rocket League and League of Legends.
In Minecraft, I think is good, because that's.
We'll focus. I like to shoot.
No shooting games.
So maybe we focus on League of Legends, Rocket League, and Minecraft, and then maybe the
But it
kids
also
say, I like
belongs
this.
to swears.
That's what League of Legends, Minecraft, and Rocket League.
Awesome. It was a game, it was the card game.
Could you share your
Park
information
Stone.
also, so that we have that? That'd be great, please, thank you.
Awesome.
Parking.
It was a card game, it was a card. All right. Next up is the big reports. We got
Say again.
discussion on the big reports.
Oh, I just think, Tim had mentioned, emailed me, and basically, we just still have the two options, put it up on the agenda for further discussion, so I think the two options are, you appoint, or you go out for a review.
Yeah, John had sent an email out a couple of weeks ago.
And I have not gotten anything back from the attorney about whether we can do anything with the, thank you.
We do have about 60 days.
We have 90 days total.
What day are we now?
It's a great question. We'll have to count it out. I believe that it's effective September 12th because that's the date that it was, that the letter was written. So, the two choices, and we had this, previously, so you can hold the special election, but we have previously decided, and we all agree now, that's not necessary nor appropriate, it costs money, takes tremendous time as well. So the other avenue is to appoint a qualified individual, which there are a couple of ways also to go about that, which we were trained about last year by the attorney, where the board can say that it would be the next highest vote getter from the last election. However, there wasn't anybody extra
I
running.
think we established a precedent.
We established a precedent the last
follow.
time, correct? And so what we had done the last time was posted candidate information on the website, which I can read what that would say. The Fort Edward BOE is seeking a qualified candidate to fill an open Board of Education seat through the next general election of May 2023. Preference will be given to former members and past candidates who have shown a desire to serve on the board. If you are interested in serving and being considered for this position, please submit a letter of interest to Toby Bissett, clerk of the board, by close of business on, and we will need to select a date for that to occur. Then and then it has also in there about the qualifications of a board member. But then from there, if we had more than, so if we had two people that, or three people that did submit, okay, we're interested, then what happens is we as a board set up appointments with them to come in and they meet with us and we can ask them questions, they can share information with us. And then we as a board determine who gets appointed to the seat. What happened the last time, if I'm remembering correctly, we had two that had put names in, and then one ended up withdrawing, so we had one interested party, which was Kathy Superman, who filled that.
I have a question about that, because I remember there were specific qualifications last time that gave a little bit of problems, because it was, because because it was an emergency one or whatever, a short fill, it had to be either someone who has tried to be on Board of Education before or was on a board of some type before.
Right, what it had said was preference will be given to former members.
What's the qualifications though?
What do you mean qualifications?
You said afterwards,
And
also
past
qualifications for this.
Oh, I'm sorry, qualifications for any school board. A school board candidate must be a U.S. citizen, at least 18 years old, qualified voter in the school district, and able to read and write.
So there's nothing about prereqs as far as for this one filling in about being on it, or having.
The prereqs that we had the last time is this preference, the way we worded it was preference will be given to a former member or to somebody who has ran before. That was how we worded it the
The
last
former
time.
member
which
we're
we
looking
both
for, because we had a short time period to get all that work done, so there's a big learning curve when you get on here. So the best thing to do is get someone with that past experience on there, so we would have to do it forego that.
But again, it's only
That's what I feel like, okay. I just,
Just
as
cover-
long as that is what's going like on forward, I just feel like it was very difficult to find a replacement member at the time because at one point I feel like the language was prior or had certain or attempted to be on the board.
I think there were some things, and we did say, this hasn't been updated on the website, so it's still on there from last year, as close of business September 7th. What happened last year was, some people, I think, took it out of context and felt that we as board members were restricting who could put in to say that they're interested as being a board member. And we were saying anybody can put their name in, and that still would be the case. Anybody can put their name in. The preference would be given to somebody who has had board experience, because as you guys know, you've already now gone through the governance training. This coming month, you're going to be going through the fiduciary training. So those are pieces that we felt as a board were important at that time. And it's not saying that that person definitely is the one who would get it. If we have 5 people who put in interest, we then as a board, as a team, say, okay, let's get the appointments set up, appointments, not appointing them, but appointments to come in and meet and conduct interviews and then make a decision as to who would do that. So we have to see who even
We felt
puts
that was,
interest
that was the best
out
way
there.
instead of just playing something. And that way we could look at somebody that had some experience and didn't have to go to that training.
Yeah.
So that was the intent.
Oh, correct, I just want to make sure moving forward that that is exactly what it was.
Yeah, and there could be a former board member that comes up, and there could be someone who never served on a board, but seems more collaborative, seems more,
It really wants to.
you know what I mean? So, yeah, it doesn't matter who applies, we're talking about it.
Okay.
Could we strike the preference language though? I mean, I feel like the preference language only serves to discourage new applicants, and then it doesn't actually affect our decision process. Like if it's a former board member that we don't like, we're not gonna give it to them just because they were a board member. You know
Well,
what
I mean, just like when you put a job ad out there, right?
Yeah.
You drive a car, preference, this is what you have that. So it just seemed appropriate that we would give credence to someone with qualifications to move forward.
It's like experience preferred in a job application, basically. But that doesn't mean that person gets the job.
But we only have one applicant last time, so kind of like.
We had
just
2
kind of-
people that were
Yeah, we can assume it's going to be the same.
I'm already on the board, so whatever you guys want to do.
So if we took the language from the last time, all are generally in agreement not to spend the money to hold
Right.
special election.
Yes.
Correct? That's not even on the table. Okay,
Yep.
great. So,
Just one more caveat right there.
yeah,
So, we're all in agreement of getting names and things like that, we'll probably have to have a deadline, maybe by the next board meeting, right? But if we do hear back from Chris Lane Chanter, and she says, hey, by the way, guys, you can waive that seat and advance your reduction by waiving that seat. Is that something you would be
Yes.
interested in?
Did we already have that?
we haven't gotten.
We haven't had an
an
answer
answer
yet.
yet.
Chris is out on post interview, so we're waiting for an answer.
Okay, didn't, I feel like last meeting, someone reported back that we had spoken to someone and they told us we had the 2 options.
Yeah, they did, but I don't think we have an answer on the other thing.
talking about two different things. Yes, two options for,
Not filling it and just using that as part of the reduction.
we don't have an answer on that. I had asked it to be asked of the attorney, what the questions were twofold. What the voting rotation is supposed to look like to get from our 9 to 7. And then the follow-up question to that being, if somebody resigns, such as they announced, are we required to fill that seat or can it? And we have not gotten the definitive answer on that. The two options that Tarina Parker gives in her letter are the cookie cutter responses for any time anyone resigns from a board seat. So this is totally separate from our reducing the number of board seats.
We made this big, we have to fill it for 1 year, and that term's only good, and we don't have to fill it in. We figured we'd ask, because if we can escalate the reduction, use this as an opportunity, why not? Why get someone else on the board for that?
Or nobody wants to be on the board. Then you can't go. So we need to have that option.
Then just pull someone from the.
You know, somebody, you know, people might say, well, I don't want to sit around for a year and then go away, so you never know.
So if we move forward with what Tim had said, which is remove the preference language, stating that the BOE is seeking the qualified candidates to fill an open board education seat. We can just take out the whole preference thing and say, if you are interested in serving and being considered for this position, please submit a letter of interest to Toby, and then we put a date in there. And the qualifications are what the qualifications are for. And remove that preference piece, sure.
Yeah, we put it in before because we had
We had
a big issue going on.
Yeah.
Now it's going, so
Now it's different.
we can strike it.
Could be that.
Toby,
There's a reason.
I'll give you the verbiage for that. Anything else on that?
No, no.
Moving on. All right, consent agenda. I need a motion for the approval of minutes for board meetings held September 12, 2022. John? Tim? All in favor? Any discussion? Any corrections?
Last page, Toby, for adjournment. All in favor, it has 5, it should be 7.
Okay.
Okay. So last page of the minutes, it says all in favor of 5, it needs to be changed to 7. With that noted, all in favor?
Aye.
Good. Approval of treasury reports for September as included in the board packets. Taylor and Amanda, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Good. This is why we're reading all out, because I have to amend C. C will read approval of budget transfers for September as included in the board packets. Thank you, Amanda, for that amendment. Okay, so that's for September. Need a motion?
Motion.
Tim and Taylor? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, action items. Motion to approve the CSE, CPSE recommendations as included in the board packets.
Motion.
Tim, John, any discussion? All in favor? Good. Motion to approve the 2022-2023 Fort Edward Green Free School District Comprehensive Improvement Plan as included in the board packets. Need a motion?
Motion.
Tim, Amanda, any discussion?
Can we just go 60-second? What is this and why do we need it?
Why do we do this?
We are a targeted school for improvement, so we have to create a district comprehensive improvement plan as predicted by the state because of the list we're on for student performance in selected subgroups of economically disadvantaged and special education.
Question?
Yep.
Page 11. talks about stakeholder participation. DSIP must be developed in consultation with parents, school staff, and others in accordance, yada, yada. And then who all of the people are. The only thing that I noticed, and it may be absolutely fine, we don't have parent other than somebody who is also an employee of the district. So if there would be a way to somehow incorporate another parent representative, I just think that could be beneficial.
We can do that. The best part about that plan is it's a living document. We can amend it as needed. So
What would be ideal would be somebody maybe from elementary, a parent of an elementary parent, a secondary, or it's one person who's different roles. That would be great to have incorporated.
we will work on it.
So condition noted. All in favor?
Aye.
Need a motion for item C under action items. Taylor? Tim? Any discussion? All in favor? Good. This, okay, so a note on D. D has to be amended. I'm sorry? D, item D has to be amended. We're going to remove the tennis merger, and we're going to remove Argyle Schools. We're going to move that to item I. Okay, so D is going to read, motion to approve the baseball and softball mergers for all levels between Fort Edward and Hartford schools for the 22-23 school year. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I have a question, actually. For when we bring these action items here, are we basing this off of last year's participation rates? For if we decide if we're going to merge with another school for the following year's programs? Like right now, so this is softball, so do we use, or baseball, do we use last year's numbers and participation in order to decide if we're going to look at merging the next year, or what do we do?
I'm going to assume it is from last year's numbers,
Okay.
but I can't definitively say that.
You have a motion.
Yeah. So I got a motion, and a second motion.
Full motion? Nobody motion.
All right, so I need a motion and we can discuss.
Motion.
Tim? Need a second. Amanda? Okay, so now we've got a discussion on the floor.
So I think, and this is coming from, I'm not a sports person, but everybody knows I live in a household with a sports person. I believe, well, and Rich and Aaron know, there are certain dates that you have to, from the state, that you have to approve as a board that these are potentially what you would use for your mergers for the upcoming seasons. And so we're saying this and doing this so that it is set up and ready to rock and roll if we need it. But you can back out of mergers leading up until like basically you have your first practice or something.
You can back out, change it.
But you can't get up to 3 weeks before baseball season and say, oh, now we do need to merge with Hartford. So these things have to be in place to meet the state deadlines well in advance. But the baseball and softball merger with Hartford has been a very good merge.
Yeah, but that wasn't my question.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were asking.
No, my
about
question
numbers
was,
and
yeah, it was
the
about
interest mergers.
I'm asking if we look at last year's participation numbers in order to decide here if we're still looking at the future merge with the other school. Like why we're looking at this right now, like whether it's in our adoption or what we're doing right now or not. Like what we looked at in order to decide that.
So you're saying that if we had enough people play baseball, we wouldn't need a merger with Hartford?
Well, I'm just wondering, yeah, what do we look at in order to say this year again, we're going to go to the board and we're going to ask that we have the ability to merge Fort Edward and Hartford for baseball?
Well, I think it's also conditional. If we had 20 kids coming out for baseball, we approve the merger, I don't know that we have to merge.
Right, no, I understand that.
No, to answer your question, Taylor, yes. You're looking at previous, that was past practice was set up, we've been doing this.
Yeah.
So we continue to set this up based on what we've done in the past. Okay?
Yeah,
I
that's
think
pretty
I think that's what you want.
And if there's enough participation,
Yeah,
every
right.
year, then we can not merge and have our own again.
And I think also it comes as a recommendation from the athletic directors as well. I think probably Miranda and Jeff had said these need to be put on the
I mean, they know what the
Right, and again, I think he would do it anyway, because they may anticipate that's what's going to be, it may not be, but to cover ourselves, we have to make sure we have this thing done. So that's
Sorry.
that's why it's on the agenda.
You got two motions, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Good? All right. Motion to accept the following. Trias Incorporated with an office in Fort Edward, New York, wishes to make a one-time donation of $1,000 to the Fort Edward School District to be used to purchase new instruments or equipment for their music program. Donation is in honor of Gregory Hooners, a lifelong musician, employee of Trias, and resident of Fort Edward. It can be used in 1 year or as the district sees fit. Thank you, Trias.
So moved.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said you're all in favor of that. Okay. So my motion.
I will make a motion.
John, James, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank
As
you.
long as it's a guitar, keep it in my house.
Now, we need the second part of that is a motion to increase the current 22-23 budget by $1,000. Internally, we would increase the budget code for the same so we can purchase the musical equipment. John, James, all in favor? We are going to remove G. So you can strike G. Amanda referred to that earlier. Need a motion to remove G. John and Amanda, all in favor? Okay. Okay, I need a motion for the following. Whereas the Fort Edward Union Free School District currently owns real property located at the Annex 220 Broadway in Fort Edward, and whereas the building was a residential property acquired by the school district in or around 1951 and used for intermittent classroom space, cafeteria space, or storage, but has not been actively used by the district since 2004, and whereas the Board of Education has determined this property is no longer of use or value to the district, and that the district would benefit more from the sale or conveyance of the building. Based on the foregoing, it is hereby resolved that the building located in Annex 220. So we need a motion. Taylor and John. Any further discussion on it?
We just give like 60 seconds exposition for the people out there watching what this building is, where it is, why we're getting rid of it.
Okay, yeah, so the Annex building is located on school property. It says it used to be a classroom. I think at one time it was like a healthcare place. Storage, it does have some storage in it, but it's really not a usable building based on its age, based on the roof, based on some other things that are inside the building. So the school is in a process of either conveying it to the village or possibly putting it up for sale. The first part of that process is for the school the board to vote that we do want to go forward with the process. Then we have to go forward with the subdivision of the property to get it separated on the tax map from the main school building, and then we can go into the process of either conveying it or selling it. So this is step one of a multi-step process. Again, the Annex building has been used for a very long time, other than for storage and props and things like that. All right, so are we all in favor? Good. Perfect, thank you. All right, so now to I. I need a motion to approve the tennis merger for all levels between Fort Edward and Argyle schools for the 2022-2023 school year. Taylor? Amanda? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Personnel, all appointments are subject to change in compensation proration pending emergency school closings and required reductions in force. All coaching appointments are made pending completion. And verification of all required coaching credentials with the stipend per FPTA contract commensurate with experience and no other salary or benefits. All coaching extracurricular appointments are subject to reduction in compensation proration, pending final student enrollment numbers and pending the outcome of any potential mergers and emergency school closings. I have a motion to approve the resignation of John Brown as transportation coordinator for the Fort Edward Union Free School District effective October 14, 2022.
Motion.
Tim? Yeah. Any discussion?
Thank you for the
Yes,
service
many
in
years.
this position, but
Many
also
years.
thank you for continuing to work in the capacity as a bus driver.
Yes.
As he is going to continue in that capacity, and so we appreciate his willingness to continue to dedicate time to the district.
Yes.
As he's dedicated the life to us already, so.
He's a very valuable person. We appreciate it too. All in favor? Motion to approve the appointment of Amber Beeman as sophomore class co-advisor the 2022-2023 school year effective September 1 at a rate of pay of $541. Need a motion?
Motion.
Tim? Taylor? Tim Taylor. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Pringle. Motion to appoint Peter Pringle as co-advisor for the Key Club for the 2022-2023 school year effective September 1, the rate of pay of $150. Need a motion? James?
Second.
Tim? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Mr. Pringle. Okay. Any other public comment?
No.
All right, I need a motion to enter executive session. Taylor? Board of Education members and other individuals invited to executive session are reminded all matters discussed during executive session must be kept in strict confidence. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, folks, for joining us this evening. We won't be doing any business when we do come back out of exec. You're more than welcome to stay. These things burn out, so okay, Deacon, 9 strikes.